Ladies and gentlemen, next up is our third session that will discuss what customers want from technology. Contractors and equipment owners now invest to update their fleet to execute projects faster, economically, and provide greater accountability and transparency. But which features are most compelling and that contractors and equipment owners should look for in equipment that they use? How can working on the cloud help improve productivity? What are the ways in which one can safely integrate new equipment technology, return on investment, or advanced features in construction equipment? What should the focus be? If these are your questions, then this is your go-to session, as the discussion will focus on the most compelling tech interventions. Introducing the session moderator and panelist, please welcome our session moderator, Mr. Sanjay Garg, partner, PwC India. He has over 36 years of international experience in managing capital projects, leading business transformation, and instituting operational excellence. He also has an extensive exposure to all facets of the business, including engineering, equipment and services contracts, project management, construction, commissioning, organization build-up, and finance. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Garg. And here's introducing and welcoming our panelists who will be joining him for this discussion. Please welcome Mr. Mahesh Mudda, Managing Director and CEO, New Consolidated Construction Company. He has more than 30 years of rich experience in the construction industry. He made a humble beginning in NCCCL in 1985 and is the first on-family member to rise to the top management position. Mr. Neerav Parmar, Senior Vice President, Contracts and Procurement, Shapoorji, Pallonji. He is involved in the procurement of construction materials, MEP equipment for projects pan-India for the real estate division of Shapoorji, Pallonji. He brings along professional experience in pre- and post-award contracts management, contract administration, dispute and claims management, and conflict resolution. Mr. Siddharth, Senior Vice President and Head Projects, Adani Airports. He is a specialist in new business initiatives and modern management practices in construction with 30 years experience in managing civil EPC and construction projects right from development to delivery. Mr. K.R.R. Chandran, Vice President and Head Corporate Services, Heavy Civil L&T. He has over 25 years of experience across construction, project management, and strategic growth of multiple business units. He is an accomplished professional with a wealth of experience in executing high-value projects across different segments of construction. And Mr. P.S. Patel, Chairman and Managing Director, PSP Projects. He has over 20 years of experience in the business of construction and has played a significant role in the development of PSP projects. Prior to incorporation of the company, he was involved in the business of civil construction by way of a proprietorship firm. Thank you all for joining us today. But before we commence with the discussion, here is a video from our presenting partner, Bentley Systems. Can we have the video, please?
Around the world, engineers and architects, constructors and owner-operators are using Bentley's software solutions to design, build and operate the infrastructure that sustains our economy and our environment. Together, we are advancing infrastructure.
It is the front of house for our Emirates. So we wanted to do something spectacular, something iconic, something everybody will remember.
We chose Bentley. There are not many competitors who could do a project on this scale.
We wanted to use technology, digital technology, to do it in the best possible way. For this, we use Bentley software.
We're very proud of the association with Bentley Sachs. It's allowed us to be a leader in the industry.
And more important is the Bentley management has worked with us to help us feel that comfort to work with Bentley. And that is what is driving us.
enhancing infrastructure.
And before I request Mr. Garg to take this session forward, I would also like to invite Mr. Kalyanaraman Vaidyanathan, the Director of Business Development of Bentley Systems, to address our viewers with a 5-minute tech talk. Mr. Vadiyanathan has nearly 25 years of combined experience in managing construction projects and enterprise software development. He has won many awards and has also been published widely. Mr. Vadiyanathan, 5 minutes from you, please.
Sorry, thank you, Shreyal. I will share my screen and I'll just get started. So I think we've been discussing since yesterday the impact of technology on construction, and we're sort of talking about construction 4.0, industry 4.0. So I just thought I'll share some thoughts on that. So my slides are not moving. Okay, so if you look at the sort of the broad, what I call as the AEC industry, at one level, not a lot has changed over a duration of 3 to 5 years. We look to engineer an asset, we look to procure the materials required for it, and we look to sort of execute and get it delivered. But if you sort of, open the hood and sort of look underneath, so to speak, you will see that one of the defining characteristic of the industry is that it's fragmented. Right? So there are a number of stakeholders that come together at the time of design, who use a set of design analysis tools to sort of engineer the asset, followed by a set of people who are in procurement, who look to procure the materials required for it, services required for it, using a set of accounting systems under the broad classification of ERP systems, who then further go down the thing into a set of trade contractors who use scheduling systems to sort of engineer and deliver the project. All the while, it's a very dynamic ecosystem of people and organizations and technologies that come and go in a somewhat transient state, with a lot of attrition, lot of rotation, lot of technologies coming into play. And all of these sort of interconnecting with each other. So the engineering has an impact on procurement, delay in procurement has an impact on execution, and something in execution comes back and has its impact on engineering, right? And there is a proliferation. So when you start now collecting information from the field, we use mobile apps. We are now starting to explore the whole idea of IoT systems, drones, 360 cameras, sensor-based data collections, and equipment, which is the sort of the topic of the thing today. So it's almost there's no lack of technology, or there's no dearth of lack of technology, but there's some fundamental characteristic that is missing. And I think the point I'm trying to make is what we have is islands of automation with design analysis tools being mature, ERP systems being mature, maybe even scheduling systems being mature, and the point applications for collecting information from the field, etc. What we really need, or sort of the need of the hour, if you will, is we need bridges to convert them into insights and information, right? In short, what we are really trying to say is you need to move from sort of a common data, which I'm sort of ascribing to sort of putting all the data in one sort of place, a digital locker room, if you will, to making it a connected data, wherein you're really looking to create insights and say that if data is entered once, I should be able to use it in multiple places, right? So my core systems should get updated, my people should get alerted, my MIS reports should get generated. And that's kind of what we are defining as integrated project controls. So the whole idea is you want to bring all these stakeholders. The fragmentation of the industry is not going away. So we need to bring all these people together in a common platform that allows everybody to collaborate widely, of course, respecting their roles and responsibilities and things like that, but create a layer of controls that allows them to basically understand forward-looking impacts on time and cost when information is collected, so that we can sort of use the benefits of technology to control, if not eliminate, project and cost overruns, rather than figure out who to blame after it's too late for you to do anything about it. The building blocks on that, of course, you cannot sort of build a house without a foundation. And we believe that the foundation has to be on sort of some standard operating procedures that allows you to define your process and your people in a way that embraces the fragmentation, embraces the fact that we need to sort of progressively elaborate information as the project progresses, and create sort of almost data ontologies that predefine the understanding that I shouldn't have to share files electronically between people, but I should be able to share nuggets of data so that, you know, when my field reports that I've done 250 m³ of concrete, I understand what it means for my financial systems. I need what it means for physical progress, or my drone gives me a picture of a site. Then I can translate that to quantity and sort of repeat that same idea and say that when I get data once, can I use it multiple times? Can I use that to now generate my earned value metrics? Can I use it to generate my daily progress reports? Is where we need to do. Of course, you need to sort of line up the ducks, so to speak, and make sure that you're creating a culture, an environment, maybe even a contractual model, probably built on the principles of lean construction, that allows the people to sort of more willingly, in a collaborative environment, share news, right? So without fear of repercussion, so to speak. So we always use this thing saying bad news early is good information, right? If I only knew your one of my downstream stakeholders, some procurement is delayed, labor mobilization is delayed, design is delayed. If I only knew that early, I will know what to do so that I can course correct my project midstream and sort of avoid some of those time and cost overruns. On that bed of that SOPs and people alignment and the culture of collaboration, technology interventions, we believe, can have transformative value in terms of enabling reliability of planning and delivery. And on that platform of reliability, create a learning environment wherein you can sort of look to see how to learn from one project to another and build more analytical type tools that creates an environment, an ambiance of continuous improvement, right? The outcomes then sort of much more easily present itself, and therefore the ROI, that is the big, the thing all of us are looking for from these technology investments, we believe will then come on this sort of people, process, and technology alignments, right? So better governance, better control, and on top of that, reduce time and cost for project planning and delivery, right? The technology is available. So here is a technology that I'm showing that allows you to sort of, in a virtual environment, look to see how you can place a bridge almost in a mixed reality environment over the real site, in almost real site conditions, to evaluate your safety parameters, your quality parameters, your constructability aspects, and what are maybe even logistical issues that you need to do. The technology is available, right? But the back end, the fundamentals need to change as well. And whether it is mixed reality type of an environment, or here is another AR type of an environment, wherein you're sort of even removing the data entry aspects, if you want to think about it that way, of collecting field data and using just gestures, hand gestures to sort of collect progress. Technology is almost getting ahead of ourselves, and we need to almost pull ourselves back a little bit and align that people and process so we can take advantage of that technology. And I'm assuming the panelists will sort of discuss more of these also from the context of equipment and how the projects of today and tomorrow can take advantage of all of these things. So in short, what I'm trying to say is all of us are today looking to embrace technology and get that digital leapfrog. But for that to happen, wherein we are really saying that even tomorrow, we're still going to engineer, we're still going to procure, we're still going to construct, but you want to do that in a sort of a model-based environment, wherein no matter what what stakeholder is giving us information, what analytical tools they give, it becomes attributes on the model. No matter who does procurement in my construction supply chain using whatever accounting system, it annotates and at a data level sort of enriches the model, so that the model becomes the way of life for people. And the same thing sort of continues, whether I get my progress from mobile applications, from drone-based applications, from 360 cameras. The model becomes the central connected piece of the jigsaw puzzle that allows everybody to sort of interact with and be able to use that rich data environment. Really what we're looking to say, it's not a 3D model, it is a data element, it's an enriched data element that just happens to be visual in nature, but it's sort of interconnected with my backend systems, with my people, on a culture of collaboration. Only then we believe you'll get that. So it is always about people, it is about aligning the process before we can get the technology in place. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Vaidyanathan. And with that, Mr. Sanjay Garg, requesting you to take the discussion further. We have 50 minutes for this discussion and are looking forward. So over to you now.
Thank you so much, Shriyal. And I hope my audio is clear enough at this time.
Yes.
Please do interrupt me in case my audio breaks down, because the reliability of an internet is always subject to the part of the time of the day when we are talking. Anyway, so certainly. Esteemed panel members, Mr. Mahesh Mudda, Mr. P.S. Patel, Mr. Neerav Parmar, Mr. Chandran, and Mr. Siddharth, and all the friends who have joined for this session. Welcome to this session of Construction Technology Summit, the theme of which is most compelling technological interventions. I'll give a small brief before just laying the ground for it. The construction industry has been facing multiple challenges, even without the effect of the COVID pandemic. Information as on December 2020 from MOSPI, which is the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, which monitors infrastructure projects, they say that projects worth rupees 150 crores and above, there were 1,671 such projects, 442 reported cost overruns, and 536 reported time escalation. These are just statistics, but it talks about what I'm trying to highlight here is the statistics still say that in spite of all the technological advances we are making, we are still lagging behind basic project management. There is an opinion that technology-driven construction methodology and digital practices in engineering, planning, procurement, monitoring, and information exchange can effectively be deployed to achieve project targets on time and cost. The second opinion is the sharing of information in the form of digital data amongst project owners, authorities, consultants, suppliers, contractors, through all the stages of project execution process integrates all project participants. The third point says this integration provides a single version of truth to improve execution through parallel actions without facing the legacy challenges of lack of coordination and information gaps. Having the right data at the right time ensures data-driven decision-making, thus reducing human error, ensuring focus on key aspects. Now, these are opinions. The reason why I'm saying opinion, because I will open it to my esteemed panelists to try to see how true and how effective these points are. So, but however, in India, as we envision to move to construction, Kalyan said 4.0. I would say, in my opinion, it is still 2.0 construction. Industry is 4.0 is what we are talking about. But these are only nomenclature. There are some key deliberations among the E&C industry players, which are what digital solutions have been implemented over the last few years and whether they are bearing the results as per expectations. Which digital solutions are available for implementation in the present time in India? Which emerging technologies can be planned to be implemented in the long term? What are the issues faced by industry in implementing digital solutions? How ready are we in India to go in for widespread adoption of leading global technologies with respect to environment, skill, infrastructure, cost, and regulations? Right. With this background, I'm privileged to start today's discussions with some of the leading practitioners in the E&C space, who with their deep insight would give us greater clarity on achieving this vision for construction of future. I have divided my session into two parts. This session, the first round and there will be two rounds. In the first round, my first question would be to Mr. Chandran. Mr. Chandran.
Yes, sir.
The construction industry in India makes up for 9% of the country's GDP and employs over 50 million people. Being a key stakeholder in the country's economy, the industry's growth mirrors that of the country itself. However, traditionally, the construction industry has been lagging with respect to other industries like manufacturing, FMCG, telecom in terms of technology adoption. Now the question comes in. How has your journey been in the last 2 to 3 years, and what are the lessons learned? And did the pandemic precipitate some faster reaction?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Sanjay Garg and the eminent panelists who are there in this webinar. And thanks to Construction World for nomination of L&T representation in this very important and very interesting session. I've been on and off attending the session for the last 2 days. Yesterday on the BIM, and today one of my colleagues was presenting about that extreme project situation which is doing in Uttarakhand. I think some of the audiences might have witnessed that. Therefore, it is a testimony that L&T have started doing this in some kind of projects. But coming to a direct question of why construction, if I understand correctly your question, why construction is not able to match the speed at which the FMCG and other telecom industries grow. If you see, predominantly, construction has been age-old civilization from that point of view. If you see, it is all the product which is not going to be seen when you conceive it. The rest of the product like FMCG, the customer, the producer and the trader sees what is the final product. Therefore, selling becomes easy and the planning is not so much intricate or difficult in that. Because the stakeholder involvement in the product, like if you are going to purchase a atta, whether it is Ashirwad or Pillsbury, nobody is going to check inside what it is, from where it was produced, what is the kind of grinding they have done, nothing like it. Because construction has to serve a guarantee of 120 years design guarantee, it's concerned with the societal requirement. You are selling to the society. Therefore, government has to stipulate a particular norm and it has to be competitively won by the agencies. In that process, 3 important major ingredients are involved. One is the men, other one is the material, and third one is the machinery. We talk about men and the kind of skill level which is presently available, because long back after this, whatever you said on FMCG and the telecom industry has come up, lot of job opportunities have gone into this kind of sectors where the workers' background also started thinking little different. Why can't I go and work on a petrol bank? Why can't I go and work on a grocery shop? It is an AC atmosphere. Though I get little less paid, for 8 hours I can work and come back. Because the people are not able to incline to that because of the basic nature of work, which is very, very tough in site conditions. So unless we make an arrangement that they are also empowered with a little more facilities, like what we L&T, we take care of the people in a nice fashion, giving very good accommodation, food and all those things. Slowly every contractor, all contractors started doing that. It little time-taking activity, and government also now it's focusing on skill development in a big way. If you see, there are about 5 major skill development centers nominated by Indian government under the guidance of Niti Aayog. Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, all these places skill development centers have been very, very prominently now is in action. And some of the contractors are also sponsoring that so that they are party to the skill development. Ultimately, they require skilled people in the field to get the product done. And also the major drive is done on taking up ITIs and then training those people. Because if you see in contracting, pattern in this area, the skill level of the people, though they are brought in, again they will go back to the festival season and others. People are repeated 8 times. Earlier it was 3 times. Now it is 8 times you have to mobilize and remobilize. Suppose you are going to put 4,000 people on a site, you may have to mobilize at least 20,000, 25,000 people. The skill what you trained is not going to be retained till the other project is completed. Whereas in FMCG and other area, unless the company goes for a 6, they are retained. So this is the major difference which we cannot compare with the FMCG and the telecom. Moreover, that is all short term. The FMCG companies keep changing. They don't live for like contracting companies 100 years, 50 years, 60 years, because they have been doing it, growing along with the nation's growth. As you said, today the contribution of GDP is 9%. Going forward by 2025, we are expecting that 7% growth will be there every year. And the predominant factors could be the improvement in productivity, which is through the skill development. And next comes the machineries, which is very, very important, because manufacturing materials Of course, it's coming from a knowledgeable source like cement and steel or corporate companies, which gives. So they can plan very well, give it in time when you plan as per the project. And the other important factor, which is a variable component production comes, is the plant and machinery. Earlier, we have been doing projects which were done in 4 years. Now, today, the requirement of the government or the public is very fast. It has to be done in 2 years. And still the competition remains. A lot of players have also come in. And potential is available, but the time is not able to be maintained by the contractors or the project team as it is, because some lot of other innovations which is having a problem has to be incorporated. Slowly and slowly, now people have started realizing it because of this pandemic. If you can see, because of pandemic, blessing in disguise, the industry has geared up and has tried to adopt about 78% increase in collaboration technology. It has been improved from March 2020. Because of this pandemic, adaptation to technology, all the companies have started using digitalization and other automations and everything. And increase in safety. Also about 56% people have tried to use digital technologies and automations for maintaining safety. And also for bidding process, even the government have started using. See, earlier to submit the bid, people have to physically go submit in all those things. Now 37% of the governmental organizations also allowed for doing it in a technical platform. And change in role on onwards and representative construction managers. That also they are allowed. Another important point is the government also should think about pre-qualification of the skill level of the project managers and construction managers. You see, long back civil engineering course, people who have done it also gone into IT stream. Therefore, if the government wants 20 years experience of project managers, may not be possible. If they also come forward and relax that, because technical advancement is done by youth. You see, in IT sector and other sectors, only between the age group of 25 to 35 are predominant players. And India has got that demography. So if we are all able to do that, I think you will definitely match with it, with the combination of, your other digital tools which is available.
Right.
We can match it.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chandran, for that insight on this one. Now, Mr. Day, I would come to you and just ask you, how do you approach, so from the point it comes in that the pandemic has improved or increased the requirement of technology? In your organization, how do you approach business enablement by technology? And do you prefer to have a system integrator and manage your entire integrated technical operations, or would you prefer to have a composable architecture of best-in-class hybrid solutions from multiple OEMs that you would select and manage yourself? Because Adani Group being very large into multiple, multi-phase sort of activities and hard, big construction, it would be very interesting to see what is the approach that large conglomerates like you take an approach towards technology. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay. I think I'm audible.
Yeah,
Am
you
I
are.
Audible? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, and nice to be on this forum with all respected dignitaries and participants. Good evening. A very pertinent question indeed, Mr. Sanjay. See, as you rightly pointed out, we are primarily a developer organization, and as a developer organization, our primary technology intervention is into management and controls. If I have to say here, there are two parts of the technology as I see it. One is the technology which is primarily into management and controls, whether it is data management, whether it is process management, whether it is this and that, and how we control the situation spinning out of our hands. And the second part of the technology intervention is primarily into the field. I would say that I have not seen the technology development much on the ground, on the field part of it, where the actual execution happens, other than providing and backup data on to the backend team, where the planning happens on the table. So that integration I have still not seen on the ground in the industry as of now happening. As a developer organization, our primary technology intervention Of course, in fact, over the last few years, we have been working towards digitalization as well as dashboard creations for various data points such that every data is available on our screen at the touch of a button. Now, as I say this also brings into focus that with this data created at the back end, and if this data is not integrated into the forward end at the ground level where the execution is happening, there is a big gap, and that gap needs to be managed. So that management is still not happening, in my opinion, in the industry. As you asked me whether what type of process we would normally adopt, see, as an organization, we have a policy of adopting a combination of technology management integration. And what we do is primarily we have our own team of subject matter experts, and we compose a team of both the subject matter experts from our own team as well as sourcing of digitalization, or you say technology experts from the outside world. When I say a team of experts, it includes both the system creator as well as the system integrator. So there are three parts of forming a team. One is our own team of subject matter experts, the other team of system creators, and the third part is the system integrator. Because if we look at the IT industry has also bifurcated their operations into system creators and system integrators. These are two separate entities as we normally see in the market. The primary reason for this being that, when we involve technology, today customized technology for the construction sector is still lacking, and every organization has a process and system in place in which it operates in the environment that it has created when the digitalization was still not there. Having created that environment, whenever we get a technology intervention in place, we have to ensure that there is a proper customization into the initiatives, and customization requires integration of this team. So that's how we normally follow the process in the organization. And we have been, till now, we have been finding it a bit of a success also, a bit of areas where we need to improve further. We are doing that on a continual basis. So I think that's where primarily I would say today's initiative needs a gap distributor or a gap closer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Day. That was very, very illuminating and very practically oriented, and really appreciate that candidness with which you expressed your opinion. So I come over to Mr. Parmar. Mr. Parmar, we have heard Mr. Day, we have heard Mr. Chandran. For you, how has the story evolved for your organization in the last 2 to 3 years? Do you feel the right solutions are available off the shelf from IT OEM vendors? Or do you need to build your own customized solutions to meet your needs?
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, and thank you, Construction World, for putting all of us on this elite panel, and privileged to be a part of it, representing Shapoorji Pallonji on this panel. I think what I said and what Mr. Chandran said and what Mr. Siddharth said, I think I agree to a part of it that yes, it's a combination. Solutions are available, but those are available in bits and pieces. We need to take them, and there are certain things which are, again, all these companies are on SAP. So certain things, even if it is functioning, again there is a duplication because they are not synced with SAP. That is one aspect, and solutions are there, but then whoever comes up with integrator and applicator part, what Mr. Siddharth said, then it is too much customized for their use. It has to be a multifaceted and open thing so that it can be used across the company. That is one of the limitation. And second thing, I would just like to touch upon the point on the first question which you raised, because that is very much connected to this aspect, is that why construction is not organized I think the very fact that when we speak, we always talk about construction industry. But let me tell you, the construction sector is a proper word because government has not given or not accorded the industry status to the sector. That is the reason the other industries are getting more this thing approach, and they are structured. We are still in the old things. Of course, major companies have moved ahead. They are maybe in 2030. But the fact that if we want to take everybody together, then the sector needs an industry status, which is lagging behind. And then that the fund flow will come into it. Banks policies will come in for them. Then you will see the sector growing in a way where it will supplement and complement with each other. That is where we are lagging. Now, if we go for any of the systems, of course, fine, data analytics is there, predictiveness is there, everything is adding to it. But the back office work has increased, and the system has to be given back to the project team and how you go about it. I think that's the thing. It's too early to say that it has arrived, but it has not yet matured. I think we need to take some time and go in that proper direction. That's my take on this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Parmar. That was very nice, and it echoes some of the sentiments of the sector. And like you said, it is not been declared as an industry, but it's more of a sector. I come to you, Mr. Patel, for the next question. For your organization, what are the key innovations you have adopted in the last 2 to 3 years, and how satisfied are you with the results? And have you been able to address the key challenges like project delays, worker safety, risk management, data security using these digital interventions for your organization?
Thank you, Mr. Garg, and good evening to all the dignitaries on the board. And I can also thank Construction World to be a part of this forum. See, first of all, innovation in construction has become an integral part of my company since the inception. See, we are a very small company, started off with a turnover about 28 crore in 2006, and by the time we reached to 100 crore, as an engineer, I have started my career as an engineer, and then reaching up to this level, I have been a part of all the processes of the company. What are the pains of this industry? And whenever there is a pain, there has to be a good solution. We can't avoid a solution half-hearted. So that's the reason that whenever we have some problem, we always try to go into the depth and then try to make it an innovative solution. See, by the time we reach from 2006 onwards, whenever we reached to 100 crore turnover, the biggest problem within the company was internal communication of the people and accountability. So by the time we reached to 100 crore turnover, we always fighting with the people that the processes within the company and the internal communication within the company was not going fine. So at one point of time, there came in the requirement of the company that there has to be some processes, and there came the idea of ERP software. So we were quite ahead in terms of time to adopt SAP in the company in 2030. It was really a tough task for the company for the whole year. We could implement the whole process, but it always, whenever there is an implementation of any technology in the company, I think it goes from the boss. It goes from the top management. If the top management is ready to accept any challenges to adopt the technology, I think it is well accepted by the people later when it goes to field. So in 2013, we implemented SAP, and throughout from 2013 to till today, we have been operating from PR to the finance, all HR operations. The only, as we were discussing about the softwares available for project management, though there is a project management BIM module for SAP, but most of the contractors are finding difficult. But except PM module, we are doing all the processes through ERP. Now, adopting new technology, need of the market was to improve the quality, to improve the speed. So, as and when the journey went on, we were the first person to buy good quality shuttering material from Germany, the Perry. We are the largest buyer of Perry shuttering from Germany. Then came the requirement of these tower cranes. I think Gujarat, we bought the first tower crane for Gujarat because till that time 8 to 10 story buildings were getting constructed, and we got the first order to build a 72 meter, that was 24 story or 17 story hospital, and by height it was 24 story building for a hospital of Zydus. We were the first to buy an innovative platforms, because when we are doing a high-rise building, we can't have a scaffolding throughout all the 4 faces of the building. So we started buying the working platforms from Spain. And during this journey, whenever you have a problem, there is a solution. That solution can be a cost-effective. That solution can be a costly also. But if you see to the longer version, I always thought of, okay, if you have money spent on technology, because that is the demand of the day and demand of the future also. So looking to that parameters, now presently we have thought of during pandemic, I was having 13,000 people on my board, and after migration, I left with 1,250 people. Just see the scenario. Most of the construction labor are coming from different states. So we thought that there has to be some solution to this labor problem in future also, because the construction industry in general operates barely for 6 months. Just after Holi, there is a marriage season, then there is a rainy season, then there is a festive season. So Diwali to March is the only period where the construction industry works efficiently. In that way, I thought that suppose looking to this pandemic and future also, day by day, labor son is not going to be a labor, mason sons is not going to be a mason. So probably there will be huge requirement of labors or deficit of labor, and to cope up with the deficit of labor, we need to improve on some of the technology which is being used by world. So in that way, we have to put up a state of the art precast plant in Sanand, which is going to produce about 3 million square feet of a building we can do in 1 year. And we have done this plant 100% precast by our own elements being done, and the whole columns and the whole structure has been done in precast. And we are waiting that some of the things to start operation by next month. Secondly, how do we monitor the project, and how do we monitor the quality of the project? So as I said, the technology for full-fledged solution for one platform is not available. So we have designed our own systems within the company by a system applicator, by creating small applications for NCR. So within the company, when there is a quality issues, internally from junior engineer to project manager, it has been transferred, whether that problem is solved, and if it is solved, how it is solved. Send me the pictures, and the pictures are shared in between, and the problems can be attended timely. So that way we have created some of the processes within the company for this audit also. So technical audit is something which usually we fail, and we always believe in the things that things are going on good at the site level. But when we go into detail, the top management is not going to reach to each and every site. If you are running 30-40 sites, there has to be a system wherein you get the reports, you get the audits, you get the quality checks right on time on the forum of the top management. And that's why this requirement of application has came in. We just were exploring BIM. So BIM is a model wherein I think this is the only model wherein we can avoid so many errors within the organization. See, BIM it's an architectural software, but now how it can be utilized for planning and monitoring, it is integrated with the SML model of Autodesk. We have just started implementation, and wherein all the data of your planning right from first day to the last day is created. You can put up the weekly planning also, you can put up your schedules of monthly planning also. And again, what exactly actual work you are doing, you put on the data in daily basis also. So any top management can see the data very clearly, where the shortage of when the project is going on, how much it is failing, how much days we are lagging, and what are the resources which is required to make this lag on time. So that's why this was initiated by us with one of the system integrator, and he is very keen to develop this software, and I think we have done up to 70-75%. But based on BIM, how it can be more utilized in a construction. Estimation is not the only solution from BIM we are getting. So BIM, how you plan the project and how you monitor the project, if it is system, it is integrated through Autodesk, assembled Autodesk, it works better. And I think we have got a very good success in since last 3 months. We are trying on that software. Secondly, SOPs within the company. See, the construction company is the most unorganized industry in the sector. And whenever we say the people fail in terms of communication, people fail in terms of responsibilities. So lastly, before COVID or before the pandemic, we appointed Deloitte to audit our SOPs. See, मैं जो करता हूँ सही करता हूँ, that's always not the case. What the society is doing, what the industry is doing. So हम लोगों ने ये सोच के ये नक्की किया कि let us go on to someone, a good agency who can audit your processes and give you a guidance that what best industrial practices are. So in 2020 March, we were given the total SOPs from Deloitte, and now the whole company has been done through SOPs, and we have a clear audit of SOP also. See, putting the systems and the SOPs in the company, how much efficiently it is working, it has to be audited also. As we were discussing by some of the panel members, the data are collected all the time. But how that data is being scrutinized and how that data is being utilized for the betterment of the work, we sometimes fail because the data collection is so much, the right way and the right quality of data are not analyzed, and then the utility of those data are not properly utilized. So at the end of the day, we are creating a data who nobody is seeing. So at the end of the day, and any data created within the company has to be analyzed and it has to be utilized for the betterment of the project, betterment of the quality, save the time, save the cost. These are the basic requirements of a digital platform which we have just started using, and most of the construction company has started using.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patel. That was a very hands-on approach and a very practical approach to what you have been doing, and many companies that I know follow the model which you are doing. And thank you so much for that insight. Mr. Mudda, you're not the last on the first round, but most important to integrate and to bring out the things together. Mr. Patel brought in a very interesting concept that BIM is useful, right? And we are aware that for any public works to be done in the UK, there is a guideline that all public works have to be done in BIM. In India, in your opinion and the way you have worked, is BIM the most valued technology required for an end-to-end integration and monitoring of complete project life cycle? Do you think that in India it is really applicable? And would policy around mandatory BIM application on projects above, say, 500 crores set a stepping milestone in creating a digital environment in construction industry in India? What is your opinion? Is it required, or we are good as it is?
Thank you, Mr. Garg. I think in today's scenario, when we are discussing about technology and going forward, and our construction industry, which is the most disorganized, to get into the track, onto the track. Let me first thank you for asking this good question for me. Very interesting, and I believe in that. And second, thank you to all panelists for their very valuable inputs. And lastly, the most important, construction world and ASAPP for this great initiative which you have been doing already. To be very frank, because I'm a firm believer, change is the name of the game. And for anybody, for individual as well as for the business, unless you adopt the change, because you will be left behind. And in today's world, the digital technology, the way it is moving, the kind of, because information, being collated, and the world has literally sprung. And in this kind of scenario, because we being into this completely organized, again I'm making the statement because the industry, unfortunately, because we have spent, because this is 75th year because we have been into this industry. I myself, because I've been associated with this industry for almost 35 years plus. So I've seen, because if you have to grow, not for you, for your own organization, for your state, your country, because you have to adopt the technology. And as you rightly touched upon this BIM, because that's, of course, almost 10 years back, I think we thought when we were implementing SAP, because across the board within the organization, it was such a difficult task. After spending half of the time, with our team were saying that, sir, I think we made a mistake of going at this ERP SAP way. I think we'll have to give up. I said, no looking back, and we are going to implement. And today we see the huge advantage because we are working in Sikkim, we are working down the top in north and Chennai, to Bangalore, in the west. How we can integrate makes the 40 plus site if you are working, it is impossible. So huge advantage we are reaping out of the investment, because I won't say expensive what we have done in terms of the SAP, ERP. Now coming to the BIM, which I have been advocating, talking to the even our own clients, which is not this BIM is an indispensable technology for the construction industry, I must say, because this is going to help architects, engineers, contractors, even end users, client, because they don't understand this business. It is our job to educate them, tell them the advantage of, because it's BIM technology, which how it is going to help them. So I've been completely advocating with each of our clients, telling them, because please, this is probably in decimal because extra money we have to spend, but you please support this. So initially, before today, because most of the projects, whether government or private, where they are suffering on the time, and time is money, we say, and huge time overruns, then cost increasing, the overhead cost, your material cost, everything. So individual is suffering because individual is suffering. So BIM will certainly help in terms of getting the greater clarity before you start the project in terms of everything, which is amazing technology. Which, if you ask me, within our organization, I am again trying to push it our own people, because at times, because any new thing, they find it a little difficult. You can't really impose or push something onto them, but I brought to the level where a couple of projects we are already monitoring, and they are seeing without me how, because the project without being, because environment and degree. So I think this your question is very important, and it is must, because if you don't do it today, probably because slowly, because organization which they are not really using, they'll be thrown out of the business or thing. Because why? Because the volumes are increasing. Those days are gone where, because we are talking about 1 lakh, 2 lakh. Today, out of our 40 projects, almost 27 of them are 1 million square feet plus. So you can imagine, and the timeline what we are talking, outer limit of 18 months or 20 months or 24 months is like too much of a time. So in such a short span, how you can do it without having that kind of greater clarity? So I think BIM, if you ask me, is must within our organization, so we have been using, and I'm advocating each and everybody, because wherever in many forums and within the organization with our clients, I think it's a high time we must adopt this for our good and everybody's good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mudda. That is very authoritatively said. And I'm so glad that, there is somebody with such high conviction, because it is the high conviction amongst the industry players which results in the success in the adoption, right? And it is important that as more and more people are convinced about it, and which is the purpose of the today's discussion, how do we create that environment of acceptance within the industry, which will encourage people or OEMs and technology suppliers to reduce their cost and make it, like we say, made in India, made for India, right? So it's a great input, Mr. Mudda. Thank you so much. With this, we are coming to the second round of it. On a time check, I see that we are about 7 minutes over. We should have finished the first round in 25 minutes. So we are about 10 minutes over, but I'm sure we'll catch up on this round. So over to the next round, and I start with Mr. Day. Mr. Day, are the companies putting enough focus and investment on research, on R&D for innovation and digitalization into the projects? And does building the digital capability in-house give companies more control over the project, or is it better to hire and acquire a startup?
Yeah, I think a very pertinent question again. In this, technology sector, as far as technology intervention is concerned, the construction industry is divided into broadly two segments. One is the creator industry, the industry which creates technology, and the other is the user industry. Today, if I look at it, the onus of creating, the technology initiatives primarily rests with the creator industry on the R&D front. The user industries are even very reluctant to move into the R&D front, but we also need to appreciate that the user industry is the one which actually drives the implementation of technology. And unless there is an implementation of technology backup, the creators will run out of steam very soon. So it's very important in this initiative. Although we do see a lot of R&D happening, but we need to integrate the R&D efforts with both the creator and the user industry taking equal, onus and responsibility to take this initiative forward.
So
in
are
India,
you
I think.
I'm sorry, Mr. Day, I'm just intervening over here. Are you suggesting that the user industry, which is the developers and the constructors, take a stake in the creator industry, take a stake now, which is like, adopting a startup or giving a commitment? Do you think that that is the way forward?
I think whether it's taking a stake or whether it is, having a tie-up on the initiation of a process of technology intervention or technology creation, both are equally acceptable moves. There could be specific technology initiatives which could be in tie-up, where there is a commitment to the creator industry that I'll be the final user, and this has to be created in a manner which actually makes it, more of a widespread use type of, this technology. Now, if we see, there is one mindset which we normally see in India. Why should I use it first? Anything that happens, we have seen in, there are many firsts created outside, and when a new technology comes in, somebody has to be the first to use it. But in our industry, I have seen that, we always have a reluctance to be the first one. We want to observe over a period of time whether others have used it, whether others have found it useful. But that is a bit of a I would say not exactly suiting to the requirement, because every user has his own way of assessing a technology. So if it fails for me, does not mean it will fail for you.
So true.
So that the first initiative of using a technology, that mindset has to come to India. That is one thing that has to happen. Now, as far as control over projects is concerned, digital capability does give more control over projects. It gives a lot of input with which you can analyze in multiple ways where your project is running, what is the health of your project. The success primarily depends not only on technology, but also on skilling people who are to operate this technology. And this is one area where, again, I find a little bit of a deficit today, because skilling is not happening to the extent. Even when we are bringing in an SAP, we would normally prefer to put in a general guy into SAP model and try to extract whatever we could best out of him. So this is not actually skilling the people, but it is utilizing the resource at its minimum. And yes, of course, as I said, both tie-ups on a specific technology front or taking over startups could be good options, but many companies would not like to become the creators of technology themselves. So taking over startups could have its own objections and hindrances such. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Thank you so much for that candid input. It will open up the minds of a lot of entrepreneurs and people here. And it is important that we don't wait for others. We see the merit for our case for adoption of technology and take it forward. Thank you so much. Mr. Chandran, my next question to you is in two parts. And this is regarding the use of UAVs and drones. We have seen that there has been a liberalization in the policies, and more is to follow for UAVs and drones, for photogrammetry, videography, LIDAR. Does the current IRR or cost benefit analysis allow for high definition surveying and quantity surveying? And also, how are the current policy changes helping in the adoption, and what else needs to be done?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I got your question in two parts. One is that whether are you getting some returns because of this high-end technology, what you're trying to do. Second point is, what are the policy, how it is, how the policies are allowing you or having some problems in the policy or some concerns in the policy.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if the question is right, my view on this kind of, interventions by technology like, drone or whatever, aerial survey, what we're doing, which is called as, geospatial survey, which is predominantly helpful as a contractor. You can't say total project I'll make an impact of 10%. It's not possible in a construction industry. We can say the risk which is involved in the project. Like if you're going to do a project of a long distance corridor project or a bridge project or an infrastructure project in general, has got a lot of issues from the land perspective. We see the handing over perspective, the interventions due to, if you see in a metro city, what are the encroachments which is available, which earlier days, you will not be in a position to see that from the bird's eye view. No, though you make a drawing and then say that, okay, there could be some intervention, physical feel of it, you are able to get it. Therefore, the risk management at the pre-bid stage or the tendering stage is going to give you a big victory. Because you are going to ascertain more closer the chance of getting into big trouble, or you will alert in the pre-bid the customer also that there is an issue here, you need to revisit. So that's an important point here in terms of getting not into a big problem. Therefore, nobody can anticipate any protection of losses there. So at least your loss protection is avoided. Second one, if you see, that depends on the smartness of the people who are using it. Suppose you are going to use huge bulk materials, for example, which cannot be done, just in day, tomorrow I require, I can get it today. It's not possible. So as Mr. Other participant said, it's only 6 months available. That 6 months means rest of the 6 months you need to stack bulk materials and other things. Now, the bulk material requires a lot of logistics from the quarry to the stacking place. And it has to be stored for the next 2 to 3 months. It has to be used. So if a physical measurement of this bulk material is highly impossible, a lot of pilferages could happen in this. Now there is a technology in photogrammetry that if you use a drone, it measures the present land surface and makes the contour kind of plan. Then once the bulk volume is stacked there, it takes the contour of the profile. It gives you the exact volume, what it is stacked. And once in a month, if you reconcile, you can definitely say 5% of, minimum 5% of the aggregate or the SAT. That's possible. Second point, what I said is the right-of-way clearances and progress monitoring. And suppose you continue to progress in the project on a city project or on a project where it is not in the city. You can find some specific views from the top, whether the traffic in the particular zone is high on which time we can take the job. The study can be done, which time it will be free of accidents and other things, which is the right time to erect a particular segment or something. All this kind of logistics plan will add a lot of weightage in your cost analysis. Suppose you are taking some regular costing, and if you are able to study this, you can add up definitely 2 to 5% or even 10% some of the methodologies what you are adopting. And by this way, we feel that around 5 to 10% is, if you are very innovative, very calculative, and very digitized, you can definitely aim for 5 to 10% on a specific activity. Okay, for example, erection of segments, if you are able to precast it, put an RFID to that, and tag it, and check the quality process through the digital application of checking the quality segment by segment. And if there is an issue, the immediate snapshot comes to the next level of escalation, and any course correction to be done in the beginning of the first segment, you should do it. Not allowing it to happen, 2000 segment is made, now you find the basic problem. If you are able to do that correction in the beginning, then what happens, whatever trial testing is happened, 100% perfect. All the attributes you are doing it. Then therefore, there is no chance of risk in that while execution. So that way, elimination of risk plays a major role in this kind of advancement of technologies, and also misuse and misappropriation by various people in the workers or whatever it is, unknowingly or knowingly. The fuel usages, the improper usage of equipments. All these things can be definitely giving a lot of IRR, because the earlier productivity of a transit mixer in a particular site was giving, say, 1,000 cubic meter. Now we are able to monitor through this asset management by installation of sensors and GPS, where the productivity is getting held up. Why the cycle time is not coming? Because we always see we put 20 transit mixer, we may get in one transit mixer a highest productivity and the other one is the lowest. We see why the productivity is coming more. Because we see that that fellow is coming in the right time, delivering in the right time, there is no hurdle. But all any hurdle is there in between, we can eliminate. Therefore, we bring it to the optimum level or try to exit. Even the best person can be made best. Therefore, there is enough potential of increase in the cost savings. That is one. Second point, what I have to answer for you is the drone. What we are trying to use. What are the policy problems? If you see the policy implemented by DGCA in each step of authorization and approval, leading to zero visibility as on how implementation of the US rules should work in the practice. Earlier, what happened is the nano drones were actually not allowed, because there could be some security issues, some transformation of information should go to the other area. Now the policies are so strict, they are giving up to a 60-meter height or a 40-meter height, which is not able to capture it. In fact, during tender, they're able to put some digital tools as a pre-qualification, and somebody said in the earlier panel, if the bidders are able to, based on the volume of the job, I can't expect all the contracts of 100 crore to be done. If it is a bigger job above 500 crore, there should be qualitative basis of incorporation of these points in the tender. Therefore, people, when the necessity arises, people will get themselves equipped. Okay, how innovatively somebody does the monitoring and the cost control, this bid will be more competitive. Therefore, the client side, the owner side, if they have to get a better cost, because otherwise the people are going to bid for the project with some additional cost. It is ultimately a waste of money to the client, and also the bidder may lose his chance of winning the project. So if they are able to produce something with integrated digital application of tools, see, there are only major things in this is two areas where we have an issue of productivity. One is the workman, I said in the earlier session, which we have to develop the skill or train the skills at site, putting some skill center at site with a trainer. That is the maximum we can do to get the productivity majorly on, if you see in construction, concrete, shuttering and reinforcement and erection. These are 4 areas. You have to train them, reskill them continuously. Like IT, they are reskilling again and again. They don't just like the train one time and leave. And also the staff members. Second point is application of digital tools. Like you see in your iPhone, if you are walking, there's an app for you to say how many kilometers you walked, how many steps you climbed. Therefore, the plant and machinery equipment, because the session is on mainly on equipment innovation, the manufacturer, when they make, they can put some IoT tools like sensors, like machine language incorporated tools, which can monitor the fuel, the distances, how much it is supposed to carry in a normal situation. All this can be incorporated there itself. The cost will be nothing. For buying a tower crane for 3 crores, this app may be costing you 10 lakhs. So if the user thinks, if the plant production people think, it is not only the machine's performance he will monitor through digital application, he will also see the tools which is applied in digital will also serve the purpose for it is used. For example, if it is an excavator, the excavator itself should have an incorporation of data management in that. It has to say how much volume it was supposed to bring in, how much it has brought in, how many times it has to lift, how many times it has to dig. All that should be there in the data fed by the respective project in charges. So it's very easy to do. Only thing is an application point of it from the construction equipment industry, which is the main topic I feel from yesterday's discussion. I have to think about this. Instead of contractors going and putting digital tools in each of the equipments, highly impossible. If somebody comes out with better innovation, if you say, sir, my transit mixer will speak to you on a phone that the quantity which is to be carry 6 cubic meter, it is not carrying 6 cubic meter. If it sends an alert, that's the best of it.
Sure, Mr. Chandran.
I think I have given the answer required to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for it. And just to add on, there are policy changes which are happening in terms of UAV and drones, making it more, except for high security areas and close to the airport. They've even reduced the areas and, closer to so that thing of 45 kilometers has probably been reduced to maybe 20 kilometers from the airport. Yes, and sir. Also, if it's not in the flight path, you can probably go up to much higher. So there are policy changes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. There is a meeting planned on 5th August 2021. That consideration
Right.
is a drafting situation. And July 21, they will release the new drones rule for 2021. We are expecting that to in 5th of August, circulation, the government order may come onto this. Thank you.
That will really help us. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Mr. Chandran, for that insight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Parmar, I would request you, can you please give me some insight on your experience on the increased productivity for construction or transportation, plant and machinery? Some of it was alluded to by Mr. Chandran also, through use of RFIDs and IoT. Are these technologies, in your opinion, easily implementable? And do you see that currently there is a widespread adoption merit, in India?
I think Parmar has lost the.
Okay, then I go to the next one. Right, not an issue. I will go to Mr. Mudda. Mr. Mudda, talking about safety, construction site safety monitoring, unsafe hazardous areas monitoring, IoTs and cameras, right? And even, we are talking about height measurement. So normal RFIDs cannot measure height. So there are other elements on the GPS which are doing it. Are they being widely used? And is industry witnessing an improvement in safety statistics due to implementation of such measures, in your opinion, in your knowledge? Mr. Mudda.
Yes, Mr. Garg, I think as far as I am concerned, I think this is extremely helping us for our organization. How I tell you, because we always talk safety first as far as any site before we start. And before pandemic also, because we had implemented few of the sites monitoring of the larger sites through the camera, whereby because not all the time going to site, but from Mumbai also, because I could see the site, interact with them and monitor, certain particularly safety, as I told, in our industries and for particularly our organization is very, very, very important, because it's involved with the human life, and then because all other your material, other aspects also. So during this pandemic time, because we learned one more thing, that because we have almost implemented all of our sites through the camera system, which is extremely helpful in terms of the monitoring, in terms of the how people are entering, in terms of their PPEs, as we rightly talk, because this is one thing which we all have to go one step beyond what we had always planned in our industry. So now, because even our labor camps site level also, we are having because a lot of implementation of the PPEs, and then because keeping the quarantine rooms, doctors presence there. So this camera system is absolutely must, and because it's extremely useful in terms of the monitoring, not only safety but all other aspects, because which we have been witnessing. So it's I'll say boon and need of the hour more than anything. Sure. And I'm sure it is going to help in another way, because it is definitely going to reduce post-pandemic also unnecessarily traveling of senior level people going all the time, because traveling, your day spent, your money spent, all that can be definitely achieved, because technology has become so powerful now. Like we are sitting like across each other and discussing that way, because your site is in front of you, and you save a lot of time. So definitely IT, particularly camera system, is tremendously helping.
Right. I would just one more question, Mr. Mudda, on this one. Do you believe that visual monitoring is sufficient, or are you also planning to use artificial intelligence?
See, artificial intelligence 100% is going to definitely be useful, but because it's like a process. I'm saying people have to really understand the importance of it and get used to that. So we are in the process of that, as it's a matter of time. 100%, I think it will become part and parcel and integral part of because each and every site, in fact.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mudda. Mr. Patel, the last question of the day for you before we open it to the audience. How important is technology adoption becoming in the boardroom discussions? With respect to accidents, in terms of sustainability, carbon footprint. These are the buzzwords in the boardrooms today. So if you can give some insight on, your discussion in the boardrooms, what is their thing? Are they willing to let you spend that extra amount, which is required, from a sustainability point of view? How conservative is it? So over to you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Mr. Garg again. See, boardroom discussions comes from the level of thinking that what level of e-governance the company is following up. So as we are seeing that the world and the whole things are moving in such a faster track that the technology is driven through. So all the industries are using some of the other technologies to improve their efficiency, to improve their quality, to improve their safety. So it is of course a basic necessity of all the boardrooms to look into these parameters, so that actually if you see the quality of people and the quality of human resources, also accountability of people who are at the top level or who are at the middle management is not to that level that we can have an audit through technology. So what you were saying is cost of poor quality. See, cost of poor quality doesn't come as a monetary. I would say the cost of poor quality comes as a image. See, any project, if you are having a poor quality, that impression may carry to the next project for the client who has given you that job. So it is more important for the company, large companies like us, to have a technology-driven applications or the systems wherein they internally cross-checks their quality, that it doesn't come up to the boardroom. So more and more systems adopted within the system to have a creation of NCR, then again complying to their NCR, then again going to the top management whether this compliance is right or wrong. So these types of system, if it is utilized for the quality, it will be very helpful for the management, that this does not go to the boardroom, or boardroom does not have to face such types of problem. Secondly, about the safety and the accident, I think Mr. Mudda has covered it very well, how the technology is helping us to avoid such accidents and those types of things in the country. Carbon footprint, now this is the biggest issue for the construction industry, as I've heard that 50% of water and 45% of energy is utilized for construction. Now this is a big alarming thing which we have really, most of the people may not be knowing that 50% of water and 45% of energy is being utilized by construction industry. And what we are talking is about green building. So when we are talking about green building, the biggest thing starts from the construction. So we have to have awareness within the team to use sensors, to use data, how much water is being utilized, to go for modular construction, wherein the water is less utilized at the factory level and more utilized at the site level. So those types of things has to be adopted to reduce the carbon footprint, and that's how we can help this industry to go for more and more green, what we are thinking. And this will be a big shortfall in future. More and more water if it is utilized by the construction industry. I think we should be very much careful in terms of utilizing technology so that less water is utilized. Some of the systems wherein you have a control over water, whatever level, and then everything is available in the market. How do you accept that the wastage is more or wastage is less? That depends on the organization.
Mr. Patel, this is a point of view which I had not even thought of, very honestly. From a sustainability point of view, the consumption of water and energy during construction, while we have zero discharge plants at the end and low efficiency and energy efficiency towards the things, this is a very, very insightful point. And with this, I would wrap up this session here. We are just out of time. Thank you all for doing. And just to wrap up, I say, while there is an urgent need for what I could gather, while there's an urgent need and an affinity for technology, integrating into our system still requires a little bit of maturity, thought, like we say, initiative, which I'm sure we will in the days and years to come. So over to you, Shriyal, for any question that the people may have for the panelists.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Garg and the entire panel. We did have a couple of questions, but we're very short on time, so I'm going to try and take one or two quickly. These are open questions, so anyone from the panel can take them on. So the first question is that does the Indian construction segment have the right environment policies and skill set resources to embrace latest technologies?
Anyone, please.
Oh, it's voluntary. Okay. Okay. So I repeat the question. So what do you say? The Indian construction industry is ready for taking the challenge of latest, technology. You mean to say? Say, I beg to differ because this is not ready because of the policies which have got age-old British practices of being followed still in Indian contracting. And we are not even able to make small amendments in whatever existing in the contract law. For example, settlement of a genuine variation drags it for so much of time, which is not warranted. Therefore, I would only say that it is not matured enough to handle. Now people are talking about smart contracting, blockchain technology, and we are very, 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 very primitive in this. And on the same condition, we have dispute, same area we entered delays and all those things. Therefore, with a lot of experience, with all the Supreme Court awards and everything, some of the conditions can be neutralized in fair manner so that disputes and issues are less. Therefore, as I said, number of projects which is on delay mode, it is part and parcel of both the parties. One obligation is not fulfilled by one person in the beginning, then concurrently delays happens here and there, which could have been avoided by a proper reconciliation mechanism, which should have been spelled out in the contract. It's a simple thing to do. It's a net neutral. If that is done, I think the Indian contracting, and the investors who are coming from outside, the project delays are going to cost the nation a lot. Whether the contractor loses or the government loses on the budget, ultimately it is the nation loses. The GDP is not going to increase, either one of them lose, because all the government projects are done by the project estimate by the government, which government makes the estimate. And they are not allowing us to go, take a 40% more or something. It is all given at a 10% or maximum 10% extra over the budgeted price of the government. Now, if the contractors got the job, and if the delays are not attributable to him, government expects to complete the job in time, it's highly impossible. And putting on LD and putting the contractor into seek mode, then he goes for NPA, getting loans. All is a cyclical process. End of the day, there is no GDP improvement. Therefore, the government has to think how to normalize the conditions. It's a fair contract. Once we win the bid based on terms and conditions, it has to be resolved quickly if any dispute arises. That's what I'm saying, that it's not mature to the level of what we're talking for the technology adaptation. Because you adopt the technology and the contract clauses are not matching with that kind of technology speed. What is the use of me doing fast and then getting into trouble?
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to have a say on this. Yeah, Mr. Garg, I'd like to have a say on this. Yeah,
sure.
I think in continuation to what he said, yes, we are not yet matured, but we are in the process. Ease of doing business is the prime priority of the current government. And we have seen so many things like combining of all the labor laws, which was a huge achievement so far. From 18-19 labor laws, we have come down to 4 labor laws. So I think that implementation is there. We as industry stakeholder, we also need to contribute. We need to put our point together. And the second thing, which what Mr. Chandran said is mainly because we are not having a standard bidding document. Like each department is coming up with something separate, and that's making a havoc. And for ease of business, this is the most important part. The government is looking at foreign investment, but domestic players, all the companies working in the country, they need to be brought on an equal platform. That can be done by standard bidding document. That is one aspect which we need to, as an all industry players, we need to push that. And I think that's the only way that it has to go through Niti Aayog. Because they had done it for the last 2 years, that document is stuck with them. So that needs to be pulled out, and then we will find something. And second thing, not to invite.
Neerav, we are low.
So that is not adding to your cost of the project. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Neerav.
Over
to you, Shriyal.
Okay, so I think I will not be able to take any more questions right now. We've already crossed our time limit. But on that note, thank you so much, Mr. Garg, for leading this session, and all the panelists for all the insights and all the insights shared. It was absolutely informative. And ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the Construction Technology Summit presented by Bentley Systems. This 2-day virtual event has been a true celebration of technology. While sessions on day 1 focused on smart design with BIM, The discussions on day 2, which was today, focused on innovation in construction equipment. I would like to thank all our panelists across both days for being a part of this summit and sharing such great insights yesterday and today. It was indeed a great pleasure hearing from each and every one of you. I would also like to thank our viewers for your support and presence at the Construction Technologies Summit. Your questions have only kept it going for us, and your reactions too. Kudos to our dedicated team for putting this event together. The Construction Technology Summit is organized by ASAPP Info Global Group in association with First Construction Council and Construction World. The two-day summit was presented by Bentley Systems, design and technology partner Autodesk, and supporting partner India BIM Association. As we come to the end of this evening, here's looking forward to a positive, safe, and tech times ahead for the country. Thank you once again, and have a lovely evening.